All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to explore a topic that lives in a really complex and honestly, often silent space. We're talking about the connection between menstrual health, our deepest cultural beliefs, religious practices, and, basic human rights. It's a story that affects millions of women every single day all around the world. So to get us started, I just want you to look at this number, 85%. Take a second. What do you think that represents? It's a huge majority, obviously. But of what? Believe me, behind this one statistic is a really powerful story about a hidden struggle that's happening every single month. And here it is. 85% of Zhuang tribal women in Odisha, India, have to use old clothes instead of proper sanitary products. And I want to be clear, this isn't some fact from a history book. This is their reality right now. It immediately takes this huge global issue and makes it incredibly personal, doesn't it? And that really brings us to our first section. Because, you see, this isn't just about not having the right products. It's about a daily reality that's completely shaped by social taboos, by exclusion, and by restrictions that go so much deeper than just hygiene. This chart, wow, it just breaks down that reality so starkly. For Joy women, their period basically means being cut off from the world. Look at that, an incredible 94% avoid social gatherings, and the vast majority are shut out from religious life. On top of all that, you have a lack of access to markets and just a basic awareness of what's going on. It creates this powerful, repeating cycle of exclusion. So, here's the crucial thing to understand. The story of the Zhuang women is not some isolated case. Their experience is a really vivid local example of a much, much bigger global pattern of challenges that women everywhere are facing, month after month. And this slide really gets to the why. If we look at the data from that same study, you can see the core barriers. The biggest one? Limited accessibility. We're talking about simply not being able to get to a place that sells the products. Right behind that is a lack of awareness, and then, of course, the cost. You can see how those three things together build a pretty formidable wall for so many people. And these local barriers, they really do build a global picture. I mean, take Bangladesh, where poor menstrual hygiene is directly linked to painful infections and girls literally missing school. Or think about women with HIV, who face this compounded stigma that makes getting care even harder. And then in places like Nigeria, you have these damaging myths that just will not go away. And these are just a handful of examples of a truly worldwide challenge. That last point about myths is so common, it's worth just stopping and tackling it head on. This belief that menstrual pain can somehow harm your future fertility, let me be clear, it has absolutely no scientific basis. None. What it does show is a really profound and frankly dangerous gap in reproductive health education. When fear takes the place of facts, women's health is what suffers. This brings us to what I think is really the core of this whole conversation, that unique spot where faith and physiology meet. So how do women navigate their own health needs when their menstrual cycle happens to coincide with religious fasting, like during Ramadan? This quote, it just captures the whole thing perfectly. It's not about forcing a choice between faith and health. It's about making sure our health policies, our entire healthcare system, is smart enough and flexible enough to respect religious practices while also addressing the very real health needs of women. And this table shows us what that actually looks like. So, for a woman with a condition like PCOS, fasting might make her cycle even more irregular. For someone with anemia, it could make nutritional problems worse. So what's the universal recommendation? Well, it's not some blanket rule. It's an individualized assessment. It's medical counseling. It requires a real conversation between a woman and her doctor. Okay, so we've mapped out the problem pretty well, right? From these very personal taboos all the way to global health challenges. So now, let's pivot. Let's talk about the path forward. How do we get from just being aware of this to actually doing something? One really tangible idea is menstrual leave. We're seeing this in places like Indonesia, and it's designed specifically to protect women's reproductive rights. It's a huge step forward, for sure. But the research also tells us that putting it into practice is really tough. You see, overcoming this stigma in the workplace is every bit as important as just having the policy written down somewhere. And this is where healthcare professionals are absolutely essential. They're the ones on the front lines. They can provide that crucial counseling, make those individualized assessments we were just talking about. And maybe most importantly, they're in the best position to actively bust those harmful myths that are holding women back. Ultimately, if we want real lasting change, it has to be a collaborative effort. It's like a four-part strategy. First, you have to integrate health literacy into education. Second, you have to solve the problem of getting products to people. Third, you have to foster cultural sensitivity in healthcare and in communities. And finally, you have to implement supportive policies, like menstrual leave, that actually protect women. No one group can do this alone. It's all connected. So, as we look to the future of menstrual equity, the path forward is definitely getting clearer. But it is also painfully obvious that there is still so much work to do, and so many important questions that we still need to answer. The good news is, the evidence is growing. We know more than we ever have before. But there are still big gaps. What we urgently need is more research that connects all the dots between culture, faith, and medicine. We really need to understand the long-term effects of practices like religious fasting so we can create better, fact-based guidance for both women and their doctors. And so, this is where we'll end, with this question, because it really is the fundamental question at the heart of this entire topic. How can a society, any society, create a world that truly honors its ancient, deeply held traditions while also guaranteeing modern health rights for every single one of its citizens? The answer isn't simple, but finding it is one of the great challenges of our time.